Hello there, and welcome to the first tutorial of Comp 250. In these sessions, we'll be going over practical examples of things like debugging, writing your code, and using your IDE. In addition to that, we'll be doing some practical hands-on examples of code and kind of content that's related to your previous lectures. These sessions are being held on Mondays at 1 p.m. and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Let's go.
I'm afraid I must convey unto you my deepest and sincerest apologies, for I have made a grave error. You see, I have installed Microsoft Windows, and as the result of a recent software update, I am no longer able to open my image viewing application. This has resulted in a most unfortunate circumstance. I'm no longer able to show you my favorite emoji. However, I believe I've come up with quite the clever solution. I hear you've become quite the experts on arrays, and I believe this knowledge will prove invaluable to us. You see, an image, such as one created by this camera, is nothing but a two-dimensional array of colors. In your weekly exercises, I believe you've been familiarized with certain methods. For instance, determining whether or not an array is a matrix, determining the longest element of a two-dimensional array, and more. And these little tools will make our task substantially easier. So please, join me and embark on this adventure to create our own photo viewer. And in the process, let us master the array.
Hey, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope the audio is working. Nice. And I'm glad the mic actually works. That transition was a bit hard to set up between the video and the live. Anyways, yeah, we've got a big tutorial, lots of crammed in here, lots of stuff to do. But first things, I was gonna do some polls during my office hour, but nobody showed up, so I gotta do them here. I kind of want to know how you guys are doing with IDE setup. Let me just set up that poll question really quick. Setup, are you? Sorry, I need to do a quick poll on Zoom. This wasn't initially part of the plan. I just need to get it done here. A bit of housekeeping. All right, let's see. Add a poll, save. You guys should be able to see that if you're set up with IDE, which one you have, Eclipse, IntelliJ, or none. That should help me know whether or not I should go over IDE setup in more detail or not. Most of the questions we got on Piazza and similar were in regards to setting up your IDE, so I'm just looking to know which one. You should see the poll now. Alright, sweet. Looks like everybody's gotten set up, and that's good. I was hoping that was the case because I did not want to spend this whole time teaching you guys how to install a program. I noticed most people use Eclipse. That's fine. I will be running most of the tutorial in IntelliJ because I found it's more of like a easy thing to use visually. It's a lot easier to show off how things work when all the buttons are really big and everything is kind of more of a clean user interface. Hope you guys are okay with that, but I can obviously also answer your Eclipse questions and do some demos in Eclipse if you need. So for today's demo, we'll be actually making the image viewing application I talked about in that little pre-roll video. And to do that, we'll have to do a bit of setup. So let me guide you through the process of how we're going to get that onto your computer. I'm going to put the link in the chat for the GitHub page for that. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually clone that into your own IDE on your own computer and get to work. So let me just pull up that GitHub link now. There we go. And since everybody's on Eclipse, I'm going to start the process off with Eclipse. So let's just do that right now. All right, I had IntelliJ open here since my office hours, and I minimized it. Now we don't want that. We want Eclipse. And if you guys can open up Eclipse as well, hopefully follow along with what we're doing here. It shouldn't be too difficult, but if it is, just let me know in the chat, and I could explain a few steps more in detail. So here, when you open up Eclipse, if you have projects already, you won't see this. If you don't have any projects, you'll have the option to import projects. Is everybody kind of at this stage who has Eclipse opening up, or should I wait for you guys to catch up? All right, I'm going to assume that you guys are not caught up and give you a second. Oh. Real silence hours. All right. I don't think I'm muted. If the screen is blurry, I'm sorry. I think that's to do with my connection. Oh, quality's not great. All right. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything I can do about the quality. I've just got the settings as they are. All right. So I'm guessing you guys are in Eclipse. So what we're going to do is we're going to click Import Project. You should have the option for that. Do you see a Import Projects option? You should. Then once you're in import projects, you'll go to Git and then import projects from Git Smart Import. I think you can also find it under File as well. Yeah, I'm not super big on Eclipse. Yeah, the recording will be clearer. The recording is being done directly on my computer. It has nothing to do with the Zoom. So I'm sorry if the quality is low. My internet's not the best, so you guys might have a bit of a blurry time on there. The recording should be crystal clear. I tested it earlier if you watched the other uploads. So here we got the URI. It automatically gets posted. I'll just paste mine in. It's from the chat. I'll send the link again. Yeah, what's up? With smart imports. All right, perfect. Yeah, of course. Thanks to ask for the qualification. If you guys have any questions, feel free to just interrupt and ask. That way it's clear for everybody in the recording. Yes, it's with smart import. So then you go through, you just click next. Yeah, what's up? Okay, it should just be called import. I'll check. Okay, so you're doing it from file, right? File import. Yeah, that's the same. File import, and then there should be a folder that says Git, and then projects from Git with smart import. Then clone URI. Clone URI. You just paste in the link that I sent to the chat, exactly as it was. Click next. Then here you gotta have the option for master and solved. You want both. Don't touch anything. Basically, from this point on, you don't touch anything. You just keep clicking next, next, next. It's going to load for a little while, finish, and you're all done. I know it's a lot of buttons to press. When I was doing this last semester, a lot of people had trouble with Eclipse because it just has so many buttons to push when you're doing it that way. But it really is just, you type it in the first time and then you click next until it's done. Now, you Eclipse guys should hopefully be good, and IntelliJ people, you are not being left behind. VCS, get from version control, paste in the URL, and you clone. I already have it on this computer. And then here, download and install Git if you don't have it installed. It does it for you. Yes. And then that's all you need to do for IntelliJ. You just click clone. And that will be all done. So that's IntelliJ. That's Eclipse. If you've created a new project in Eclipse, that's not what you're doing. You're currently using an existing project. What I'm asking you guys to do is to modify the code that I've written here, rather than to create your own new one from scratch. So yeah, if you created a new project, I ask that you clone it like I showed, and if you want me to go over that again really quickly for you, I can. Just let me know. So hopefully you guys in Eclipse are seeing this screen where you have everything here. And we can try out by clicking on imageviewer.gui.java and just running it. That should, we just click imageviewer GUI, either one will do the same thing. And here you've got easy, medium, and hard tests, and you can see that it should just draw 1 pixel on the screen. If all of you guys can get into that. Can I go that really quick in Eclipse? Yes, I can. All right, so what I did was I went File, Import, Import from Git, Smart Import, clone URI, I pasted the link, I clicked Next a bunch of times, and I was done. Hopefully you guys can get through that, and you'll be able to see this screen where you have the project open. And I'll just give you guys a second to get to this page. And once you do, you should be able to run the code by clicking Run ImageViewer GUI here. And again, it should open this window. So once everybody can get this window open, which can display these colored squares, just let me know. Yeah, I hear somebody talking, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'll repeat your question for the recording. So you created your project, don't know what to do next. Your goal is not to create a project. Your goal is to import a project. So instead of File, New, you see at the top of your Eclipse you have a file bar. You go File, Import, and there's a button for import. You just ignore your project. You can keep it open if you don't touch it. Then import. Then when you import, this window comes up, and it has lots of folders. One of the folders says Git. You go to the folder that says Git. You click Projects from Git with Smart Import. Click Next. Then you should see this screen. Clone URI. Paste in the link that I sent to the chat. And then all you have to do is click Next a bunch of times and you'll be done.
Wait, once you press finish, is there anything you can
You should be able to, once you've pressed finish, you should be able to be on this screen where you have your like folder here. Your project is open as if you wrote, like it's open in your Eclipse page, right? And you should be able to see this source tutorial 1 on these 3 .java files, right?
Well, what if it's not like open in
It's not open in there? Yeah, the link is just up here. I'll resend it right now. What do you mean by it's not open? Are you able to share your screen? Is that something you can do here so I can look?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, I'll try sharing my screen.
All right. Yeah. Let's see if I can see that.
Oh wait, no, it says that you can see it.
Okay. So which one are you in the group? Sorry, I can't see which person you are in the group. What's your name on it? Andrew. All right. Let's see more. Can I allow screen share? Make host. Ask to start video. No, I don't think I have the option to allow you to screen share. All right. So on your page, does it look like? Let's see. Where can I go? Does it just look like you have this on the side but nothing open? Like no code open? Does it look like that? If I get rid of this, like is this what it looks like? Does it have Comp250 F2020 Tut1 demo just like this? Yeah, okay, so you should have a source folder in here, tutorial 1, and then the thing you want to run is imageviewer.gui.java, and you want to check that it runs by just running it like a normal program in Eclipse. That is this play button up here, and it should open, and you've got easy, medium, and hard buttons.
Where was the image viewer thing you said?
It's in your packet, so it goes source, tutorial 1, imageviewer.gui.java. It's just a .java file. All right, you got it? All right, Mira says, I have a message that says git repository clone failed, cannot commit write to. Well, you're not trying to write to that. You're trying to pull it. So maybe you pressed the wrong button. Again, it's import with smart import. It's I think based on what the error says by cannot commit, it means that you're trying to sync it or you're trying to commit to it or merge, and you can't do that. But other than that, I think you should be able to clone it like the others did. If you just try again from the start with the file import, smart import from Git, and paste the URL, it should work. And if it doesn't, just let me know, and maybe we can sort that out after. Well, let's get to that. If everybody's kind of at a place where they're able to run it, can everybody get the window open, and I'll explain. Click on it, and then there's the play button up here. Run image viewer GUI. It's at the top of your Eclipse. The top bar, you've got the play button. Run the code, and you should be able to see this window. I just want to confirm everybody can get the window open because we're relying on that for the rest of today. Yeah, the emojis don't really matter. It's just to make it prettier. As long as you guys can see the colors being displayed, we're good to go, and we can move on to explaining what the heck we're doing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, that means you already have files in there, so you must have tried to clone it before. So to solve that, are you guys on Windows? It doesn't really matter, it's the same procedure for Windows and Mac. Okay, so on Windows it's like this. You go to this PC, local disk C, users, your name, so for me that's Sasha, for you that would be your name, and then you see a Git folder. Here you've got tutorial 1 F2020, just delete that and try again. It's that simple. The reason for this error is that maybe you tried to clone it before, and you maybe did something slightly off, or even you did it successfully and you're just trying to do it again. It's seeing that a folder already exists on your computer by the same name, and that is not letting you clone it. So you can just delete that safely. Just try it again and you'll be fine. I had that come up a few times myself, of course. Thank you for bringing it up. Now, I'm going to assume that the majority of you guys have it set. If you don't, just feel free to ask in the chat or interrupt. I can help you guys out. If you're on a Mac, I can quickly switch to a Mac and show you. Where's the Mac? Mac plus webcam. Here we go. So on Mac, hold on, I just need to log into this bloody computer. It should be in the same kind of structure. You guys can see the Mac, right? Alright, so if we go into your Mac, your drive, users, your name, you should have a Git folder. Do we? Do I have a Git folder here? Somewhere I should. If not, it should be an Eclipse folder, because Mac does it slightly differently. Eclipse workspace. Yeah, I've got all these projects in my Eclipse workspace, and if it's there, you can delete it, but I'm pretty sure it will be in your Git folder, which is strange because it should be under the same directory. So I'll get back to you on that. Another way you could do that, let's say I'm wrong and it's not in that folder. If you have that issue, you can do it with a different strategy like you did in Windows. You can right-click on this and you can click Open Explorer. This should have the option for that, or Properties. And then it can tell you where the location is. So for me, it's C user /git tutorial. If you have it like that, you can also right-click and find the location. Sorry if that's... I had it in a Git folder on my Mac. Okay, sweet. So that's... If you don't... I don't have a Git folder like that on my Mac, but I've also never done this on my Mac. So it's possible that the folder was just never created. And then again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to say I'm the best expert on that. But the idea is the same. You just delete the thing from the Git folder. All right. Now I'm going to get into the actual meat of the problem. So today I'm going to task you guys with a bit of a challenge. We're going to go into arrayDrawer.java, and you guys are going to write a method that's going to draw us an array. And I'm going to ask you guys to do this on your own, and I'm going to guide you through it afterwards. So I'm going to let you guys come up with your solutions. Then you guys can show off your solutions. Yeah, what's up? Oh, sorry, I'll repeat. So what I was going to say is we're going to go into arrayDrawer.java. That's the one at the top there. And you can see here that there's a bunch of these comments, and there's a to-do here that says, make a loop which iterates through our array and draws the color at the particular spot. And in here, I've got the kind of basis code for it, right? So I've got g.setColor, and that's reading the array. We've got a 2D array of colors here. And we're reading the array at index 0, 0, and we're setting the color to that. Hopefully that's kind of self-explanatory. And then we're drawing a filled rectangle at coordinate 0, 0 with a size of 10, 10. Now our goal is that we don't just want to draw one pixel of our image, but we want to iterate through the entire 2D array and draw an image that fills, well, not necessarily even fills the screen yet, but just draw the image. Like make it, instead of drawing one pixel, so you can go through the array and draw all these different pixels. If you guys did your weekly assignments, you'll remember you did an isMatrix method, and that's somewhat relevant to this. I'm not going to say it's like the same thing, but the same kind of ideas will apply from that and from all these different matrix methods you guys worked with, because I think you guys will find that images and matrices are basically the same thing. So if you guys are looking for a bit of guidance on that, look back to those assignments and maybe try some kind of loop to, instead of just drawing the index 0, 0 color at coordinate 0, 0 with a size of 10, 10, maybe try iterating through a loop and getting it done. And if you guys, I'm going to give you guys, let's say, 4 minutes to come up with that. In the meantime, I will answer any questions about people's software installs. If anything is unclear, feel free to ask. And after the 4 minutes is up, I'll ask that some of you guys might show off your answers and show off your solutions and try to explain them. Everybody good with that? I take your silence as a yes. All right, so I'm setting a 4-minute timer now so that we know when you guys are ready to show off your solutions. If you guys don't want to present them on video, I'm happy to just have you explain them in the chat or show off your code, however you guys prefer. Set a timer for 4 minutes. The images are actually provided. You're running a general method. So you can see here that the constructor for the array drawer takes a color array as an input. So here, we are just assuming that the dataset, the name of our image is dataset here. So you can see that in my example code here, I read dataset 0, 0, which is dataset at index 0, 0, and I draw it. So dataset is the image, and if you actually look at the code in Image Viewer GUI, you can see that dataset is filled with these different images, which I've pre-done here. And these are various images. There's an easy one, a medium one, and a hard one. And if you guys want to test out your array drawer, like if you're writing out the code and you want to test whether or not it worked, you guys can run image viewer GUI.java, and you can actually see how it changes what's drawn on the screen. Right now it's just drawing 1 pixel because it's drawing the color from index 0, 0 at coordinate 0, 0 with a size of 10, 10. But if you play around with these parameters and you change them, like if I change this to 110, right, and then we run image viewer GUI, you can see that it's now longer because I've made it draw it by a size in x of 100. And if I draw it at position, say 15, 0, it's now offset by 15 pixels. So you can kind of see how changing these parameters will change its drawing. And if I draw from an index that's not 0, 0, it's going to draw a different color. So if I drew index 1, 0, and this will cause an array out of bounds exception for the easy one, because the easy one is just one color. But if I draw the medium one, it's going to draw a different color. See here, I drew blue, and if I draw index 0, 0, it's going to draw red. So you guys can hopefully kind of see the difference there and what's going on, and maybe apply that to making some kind of loop in order to draw this. And yeah, I'll check in with you guys on that in 2 more minutes. If you guys need more time to come up with your solution, just let me know. If you guys have something now, feel free to share it in the chat, share it on video, however you want to share it, and we can get through that. If you guys want to discuss, it's in arraydrawer.java. All right. So yeah, we want to be able to somehow iterate through this array to draw these pixels. If you have any questions about this g.fillrect, it's just a graphics library from Java. Don't need to know the details of that for the course. That's just something I'm using for the demonstration. Messages popping up in the console relevant to this problem. It is relevant to the problem, but it's not relevant right now because we're going to kind of solve this in stages. We're going to get like we're going to come up with a bad first solution. Then we're going to identify some problems with our bad first solution, and we're going to try to come up with some solutions. So it is relevant to the problem, but it's not relevant right now. It's going to come up as we improve our solution over time. And maybe you can think about, if you get this working and you get the loop to draw a square, let's say, of a small size on your screen, and you notice that the image is really tiny in the corner, maybe the dimensions of the window have something to do with that, and maybe you could do something related to the size of the pixels you're drawing, and maybe do some math on that to make it draw in a way that's a bit more pleasant, a little bit more viewable. You'll see it. It'll work pretty well. And good luck. In the meantime, I'll just show my IntelliJ friends the same thing. So if I go into IntelliJ and I clone this project, it's just going to clone, open it in this window, terminate that process. Here it's open in IntelliJ, project, tutorial 1, source, image viewer GUI. And what's wrong? Download Oracle JDK 14. So I did not have my JDK set up on this computer yet. I just click download. It's going to install. Is graphics G input a 2D array? No, graphics G input is not a 2D array. So graphics G has an... There's my timer for 2 minutes. I'm going to guess you guys need more time. So G is a completely different object from a library. You don't have to know about it for this course at all. If you're interested, you can talk about it with me on your free time. I can explain it a bit better, but it's not really to do with the course. The input of this is a color object. So notice how we have a 2D array, and the array is made up of colors. So it's got, it's like a grid of different colors. And you can see that because if you look at your computer monitor, it's just a grid of different colors. And that's all the array is. And when I say set color, it's accessing the specific color at that index. So we're taking the 0, 0 color. So if you look at your monitor, I guess you can't see me pointing at my monitor, but you know that the pixel at the very top corner is pixel 0, 0. So you're saying, just draw the pixel at the very top corner and draw it at position 0, 0 with size 10, 10. I hope that makes sense to you. So no, the input to graphics G is not a 2D array. The input to graphics G is a colored pixel. And actually, that's not even accurate. Graphics G doesn't have an input. Graphics G is an object. The input to the method set color is a color. Graphics G is an object which draws things, but it doesn't have its own inputs. Hopefully that's clear to you. Anyways, yes, what's up?
In a for loop, can we have multiple integers? Like, can I support the for int I equals something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. Are you trying to iterate with 2 for loops through the different array? Because you're right. You can have multiple. You can have multiple for loops. They're called nested for loops. And the convention for that is, it's like this: for int I equals blah 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 for loop, and then inside of that you say for int j. And the reason we use I and j is if you ever done linear algebra, you know that you've got the I vector and the j vector. Sorry, I'll get to the chat questions in a second. So you've got the I vector and the j vector. You have nested for loops like that. So you've got for int I, and then inside of for int I, you've got for int j. And what that does is it says, let's say you have a thing of size of a 4x4 grid. It's going to go for int I equals 0, and then for each of the 4 things, it's going to iterate the j. So it's going to go through one I, then it's going to go through all the j's inside of that I, and then it's going to go to the next I, and then go through all the j's. I hope that makes sense to you. So yes, nested for loops are a thing, and you can use them. Now, I've got a lot of questions here, so I'm just going to try to get through them fast. What does private before color with 2 arrays dataset indicate? Private is something to do with object-oriented programming. I don't think you've covered it in your lectures yet. You will cover it in your lectures soon. What private means is that from a class outside of this, I'm going to use this GUI as an example, this image viewer GUI class. See private jpanel main panel. So here, inside of this class, inside of image viewer, anything inside these brackets, I can access main panel. So here I do main panel.add graphics. So I can call things on main panel, right? But if I go into, let's say, array drawer, I can't suddenly say like main panel. Well, what's it called again? Image viewer GUI. So I can't say here like image viewer GUI is equal to new image viewer GUI, and I can't then say GUI.main window. It just can't. I can't access it. But if I change the access modifier here in image viewer GUI of the main window or main panel from private to public, suddenly it's available to me. So what private means is that I'm able to access that variable from outside of the class. And this is important because sometimes there are things you want to protect inside of a class. That's an access modifier. That's whether it's private, public, or not. I hope, Andrew Zhu, that explained it a little bit. So when I put private here, notice that I could not. I'll make one of these buttons public and one of them private, and I'll show you. I'll actually show you all 3 access modifiers right now. Protected and private. So if I go into array drawer here, and I say GUI.button easy, I can access that because it's public. I can say GUI.button medium because that's protected and it's in the same package. Or it's an inheritor, or whichever. Sorry, I'm a little bit sloppy on my protecteds, but you can see I can still access those 2. But I cannot access button hard because button hard is private. And that is a very useful thing. Kind of makes sense to you. Also, if you put no modifier, that's package private. So if you have just JButton, button medium, that means that you can access it from within the same package. Protected, I think, means it's for inheritors, but don't quote me on that. And private means only the class itself can access it. Private does not exist only in the specific package. Private exists only in the class. So private is very strict. It means only within this class can you access this variable. Sorry, I'm going to get back to this. It's just some people had questions about the actual assignment as well. So we're trying to fill the entire window, right? Well, not yet. Right now, we're just trying to draw something small. If you want to start filling the window right now, you totally could. I was going to get into that later. And we just have to modify the code for using the for loop. Yeah, you have to modify the code I wrote, and you can use a for loop. I'm sure you could also do it like a while loop or something, but yeah, for loop is the solution we're usually going for. Sorry it took me a while to get to that. I was just answering the other guys. Okay, so we've got a solution here from Misha, and let's look at it. Let's try to run it on here, and let's see if Misha's solution will work for us. So we've got for int I, and now Misha, I think did you test it with the window? I mean, it's correct or incorrect just means does it work or not. So let's try it. Here, easy, medium, hard. It looks like, well, it looks like it worked for some of these, but it looks like under the hard array it didn't draw the lower part. Okay, let's try. Somebody says maybe dataset I instead. Dataset IJ, that looks fine to me actually. Oh, but that is true. Yes, you're right about that. Nicholas, you got that correction correct. So what happened with Misha's code here is that when it ran, it only looked at the top part of the dataset. Or actually, no, that's not true. Sorry, I'm wrong. I misread your code. So no, it did everything. So for int I equals 0, I is less than dataset.length, dataset 0.length, j++. Okay, that's all fine actually. So why it didn't draw the lower line, I'm not sure actually. But let's try maybe dataset I. Dataset I. Oh, wait, no, I know exactly why it didn't work. Sorry. This was, the reason it didn't work is actually not so obvious to you guys right yet. Because you haven't actually discovered the trick I put into the images. And I just forgot about the trick I put into the images myself. So I don't blame you guys, because I'm not that far ahead of you right now. The point was that he looked at the dataset 0.length. But do you guys remember when you did the is matrix thing in your exercises? Some of you did, some of you didn't. It's fine, it's add drop. You don't have to do exercises. But in that, you determined whether or not an array has every row of it to be the same length as the start one. And you notice that not all arrays that are 2D have to be a matrix. There can exist arrays with different lengths. And what you might notice about the hard image is that they're actually of different lengths at each index. So yeah, we do need to do dataset I, and the reason for that is that it's not a matrix. If you ran is matrix before and maybe put an error condition saying like this program can only display matrices, that would be okay. But see now, it's drawing part of my little emoji here. So he's got the first iteration of it, but we can see there's some problems here. You see, for my emoji, I used a little bit of compression because I didn't want it to take up a whole like 12 bytes on my computer. No, I wanted to take up like 10 bytes. So instead of putting like 7 yellow pixels here, I put 1 yellow pixel and I'm expecting it to stretch all the way through, if that makes sense to you guys. So I've used this little bit of a compression algorithm to get it to be a bit smaller. And that's the challenge of the hard one. And also I've noticed that here, it's a common mistake, Misha, where you mixed up your I and J. And that's fine. It honestly works, but it's like, it just flips the image by 90 degrees. Now, Anaya has also proposed a solution, and we can try hers. I think it's very similar to... Ooh, no, it's not that similar to Misha's solution. Let's see what this one does. Oh, input cannot be resolved. Anaya, did you put that inside of a method? I'm sorry, I'm not clear where exactly you had this running. If you could send that again, maybe with a bit more context, I could try to run it for you. Otherwise, we can go through Misha's. And yeah, that all makes sense. All right, and I'll wait for you to send yours. For now, maybe we can think about a solution to Misha's problem, right? So what do you guys think? Maybe an if statement to see if it's, if there's a different number of pixels, but that seems like it's a bit off because you have to make so many different if statements. So maybe we can come up with a solution to maybe do some math on the length of each array, like each subarray. I'm going to call them arrays, would be a 2D array, and a subarray would be a 1D array that comprises the 2D array. Maybe there's some kind of math we could do on the subarrays to make it actually stretch out the pixels when there's a smaller number of them. Like our goal is so that when we run it, first, we don't want it to be flipped, but second, we also want these yellow pixels to stretch all the way down here, not past, we don't want them to go all the way down to the bottom of, like, to the depths of hell or whatever. We also don't want them to not extend out to the full thing. We want them to be exactly as long as, let's say, the longer elements. And that's a challenge, right? Because the top one here, we can't say we want it to be as long as the first element, because the first element is only 1 long, if you know what I'm saying. So we can't just say everything has to be as long as the top one. Everything has to be as long as perhaps the longest one. And maybe there's some method to get the longest one you may or may not have written in your exercises. All right, so while you guys kind of ponder on that, I'm going to go over to the IntelliJ and just do the same thing for our IntelliJ friends who are currently underrepresented, but I'm sure our ranks will grow. I'm with you guys. So where were we editing? We were editing an array drawer right here under right here. There's Misha's solution in here, in array drawer. Very nice. And here we're just going to go to image viewer GUI and we're going to run it. And there we have the same. Yeah, I guess we have two of them. I don't remember. Oh, no, I just must have clicked run a lot of times. Oops. Let's do that and not screw it up this time. Oh, no, that's just some weird glitch. I think it's opening a new one every time I change the thing. Anyways. Nonsense. It must be something somewhere. I might have messed it up while I was changing these access modifiers. If you guys ever find yourself messing something up with a project and it's on GitHub, you can just do this, reset head, and set it to hard, and then just reset. Now anything I might have screwed up is now gone, and I should be able to run it like nothing happened. If you screwed something up? Which button is it to fix if you screwed up? The button to fix if you screwed up in IntelliJ is VCS, Git, and then reset head, and then here you change the reset type to hard, and you reset. That undoes all your changes, and it only works if you're on GitHub. So it's not going to work unless you use GitHub. If you use GitHub for your assignments, you can use it. If you don't use GitHub, it's not going to be there. Eclipse has a similar thing. Eclipse will be under Team, and then reset. If you right-click your project, and then here you can select hard. So both options exist. If you end up screwing something up and you don't know why it's not working, you just right-click on your thing here, and you click reset or Team, and then reset. Should be relatively straightforward. Has anybody kind of cracked the code yet, or have any ideas on how we could get those pixels to stretch out to fill, more of the region? If not, that's fine. I can try to explain it for you guys, or we can try to tackle a different problem. Yeah, we got to change the 1010, but how do you think we could approach changing that 1010 in a way that will allow us to stretch it the proper amount? This is a problem we could address now, but guys, if you guys are struggling with finding that, there is something else we could do. Notice how our image is always really small in the screen. So if I run this, it's like a tiny, right? And also this image is bigger than that one. And we don't like that. So maybe the fact that I can read how big the window is, you can see here it's putting in my command line how big my window is, and it's just using it with this print statement, with get width and get height. So maybe, this can be replaced maybe with something from here, or something like that. Maybe we can do something about getting the width and the height to make the image fill the frame. Maybe. If you guys want to ponder on that for a second, we can do that. And now Ryan has a proposed solution. So I'll try Ryan's solution and see what that does. It looks interesting. He's got a real big number. No, he doesn't. Yeah, he has got a pretty big number in there. So Ryan, is that your window width that you put in there? That's all right. Let's try it. Okay, we're working with Ryan's solution now. All right, that filled the screen with that one, and that did, well, it did something. Okay, Ryan, that's a clever solution there. We can see that it definitely stretched out the whole image, and it did draw the smiley face, but our image wasn't originally like a smiley face in the corner with like a big blob around it, right? It was originally a smiley face. So maybe there would be some other way we could do it. And also, if I resize my window here, it does draw, but not all the way. So if I make my window really big, you can see that it doesn't actually still fill it, and you can see that it didn't actually increase the scale of my smiley face. It just put it into a corner and filled the rest of the screen yellow. And that's cool. Like, actually, this technique is applied in real life. If you have an Android phone, there's an Android phone here. What it does with an app, like, let's see, the alarm app is open here. It fills the top of the screen by continuing the color from the edge here. So that is actually a useful algorithm, and it's used in real life too. Ryan, you've come up with a cool thing there, but it's not exactly what we're going for. Or like to fill the color on the little navigation bar there, that's what they do. They just repeat the color from the edge. But that isn't our goal. Our goal is to scale the actual image here. So does anybody else have an idea, maybe invoking some of these methods here? If you replace the large number with get width and get height, it'll fill. Yes, it will. But again, it's not going to stretch our image out. So let's do that. I'll replace them with get width. Ooh, I'm not used to not having autocomplete. I don't know how you get Eclipse guys do this. Get width. Here it's get height. Yes. All right, now we run that. Yeah, it does fill it to get width and get height. But again, it's just small in the corner. So do we have potentially an idea for how we can multiply I and j by a number higher than 10 in fill rect? Yeah, that's a good hunch. Let's just say we do it by 100. 100 is going to be really big, but you're getting somewhere there. You're getting with that. Multiply I and j by a number. Yeah, Ali, you're getting it. But maybe we can combine those two ideas with get width and get height and do some of that multiplication. Nah. Yeah, it's a big one. It's improving the size, but it's still not scaling it according to the window size. So maybe we could do some kind of multiplier here that has to do with get width and get height that will allow us to fill the rect better. It could be. Now let's think about what that scaling factor is going to be if we think about the image array again, right? So we know we've got a 2D array of pixels here. I call them pixels. They're just color objects. You get the point. It's a 2D array of colors that makes up this image. And we know that this 2D array has a set number of vertical lines, but each vertical line has a non-set number of horizontal lines. So maybe there is something we can do that it relates to the number of horizontal lines within a given index. Like maybe let's divide and conquer. It's a common approach in programming. Let's not think about this image as one big array. Let's think about this image as a list of one-dimensional arrays. So if we wanted to draw a one-dimensional array and we wanted to make it fill the window, how would we do that? How would we calculate? Let's say we have a one-dimensional array of length 3 and we have a window of width 400. How can we evenly divide 3 boxes into a window of width 400? Yeah, we could do an integer division there. I see Edgy here is, that's a private message. Anyways, we got suggestions about the video broadcast. The reason I use a separate tool for this video broadcast is so that I'm able to integrate other content and so that I'm able to switch between Windows and Mac on command. So I can do that, and I can do this with Windows. And the reason for that is I want to be able to help people with issues on Windows and Mac. I know it can compromise the quality. Don't worry, the recording will be crystal clear, and I'll try to maybe improve my connection for next time. Sorry if any quality issues. Find the scalar by dividing the window size by the size of the array. Emily, you got that? So hopefully it's Emily, not Emil. Yeah, you divide the window by the size of the array. That's a great idea. Why don't you try to write that out into code and we can see how that goes. And now I'm going to try Anaya's other solution and we'll see what that does. But yeah, Emily, you're on it. You're on the ball with that. That's definitely what we want to go for. And if you could write that into code, I think you might have the golden solution there for us. All right, interesting one. That's actually I've never seen it do that before. That's really interesting solution there. It's cool. I like how it works, but again, maybe not exactly what we're going for. That is an interesting one. I've never seen that happen where it like draws it. Oh, nice job. It's very cool. But again, maybe not exactly what we're going for. And good mastery of the for loops, guys. You guys are getting the 2D. This one, the kind of point of this exercise is to show you that you can actually treat the inside of this for loop maybe as its own little program. Remember, it's still a full, complete programming language in here where you can run a lot of logic. Okay, Thomas has a solution. Let's try it out and see what it does. Again, you guys are still using a number there, Thomas. You're still we were onto something there when we had the get width being used in these arguments, and the correct solution does involve using get width in here. And as Emily was saying about finding the scalar, that's definitely what we should be doing. So yeah, if maybe a better hunch to go off of there would be to try to figure out, it's pretty simple math, but like how we can divide up the window for each of these horizontal arrays. Oh, Ryan's got a solution. All right, that looks like it's pretty on the point there. Let me just try to paste that in here. And let's see how she runs. Medium, hard. Oh, that is sweet, man. Good job. So Ryan's got it there. Just one little issue here now is a different dimension of scaling. You can see that if I put the window like that, my image shouldn't, you know, there's different approaches for this. And the way the solution I posted, if you check out the solution branch, which I'll show you later, actually stretches the image so that it always shows every pixel. And but the solution you have there is valid too. But just to complete what we were going for, why don't we try to make it so that instead of the image always being square, it will actually stretch it to be the correct size for the window. So like if the window looked like this, the image should still like have every pixel shown in this window, if you know what I'm saying. So maybe we should apply the scaling logic we used for this axis to every axis. All right, Rui, I hope I'm saying that right. Rui's got a solution here. Let's try that out and see what it does. And we'll run that, save it. Oh, and we're getting some errors here when we run it with 1, index 1 out of length for 1. Okay, well, let's see if the hard one. The hard one draws nicely. Great job on that from Rui, but you might want to check out your code because we're getting an index out of bounds exception here. We can actually look into that. I see you posted some code as well, Nicholas, but I actually want to show you guys some cool debugging tools before we get to the Nicholas solution. So let's say we have code like this, and it has an error like this array index out of bounds exception. And we don't know what's causing it. I mean, I'm sure we could figure it out by looking, but what if we're too lazy to look? Well, you can right-click toggle breakpoint on all these lines. You should see that in Eclipse. I'll show you the IntelliJ version too. The IntelliJ version for this is a little bit more visual, a little bit easier to look at. So I'll probably go through this more in IntelliJ. But here, right-click and click toggle breakpoint. I'm getting some more solutions in, guys. I'll just go through explaining the debugging process first, and we can get to those. So when you do this, and you click this debug button, you can see that when I click something, this kind of launch configured to open the debug perspective when it suspends. Do you want to switch to perspective now? Switch. So now you can actually watch the values of your different variables at a different time. So looking at this here, I'm sorry, I have a big display scaling, so it's going to be hard to see everything at the same time. But here you can see that you can actually see the value of each variable as you run in the debugger, and that will help you by showing you where the error could be. Now, if we move to the next line, which I believe is this button here, you can go through and you can see what every single thing is equal to. And here you can actually walk through it and see where the error comes up. Hopefully that's kind of clear to you guys. I have a lot of messages coming in here now that I should have looked at. But this is the debugger, and it can help you a lot when you're debugging your code. And I'm probably going to do a full video on it in an upcoming session. But for now, the breakpoints are there. And I'll show you the breakpoints in IntelliJ before I continue. I'm just going to stop the process now and go into IntelliJ. IntelliJ has the same kind of breakpoints. They're even easier to use. You just click on the sidebar and see the red dot. Once you have a red dot, it's going to stop the program there. If you run it with debug, run it, press a button, you can see that it stopped when the red line was hit, and it shows you the values of all your variables. Exact same idea with IntelliJ and with Eclipse. All right. So now let's go back and let's look through some of your guys' solution. First up, we have Nicholas, whose solution seems to work. Let's try it out. Okay. Okay, save that, proceed. And easy. Oh, we're getting errors. Let me check. Maybe I screwed up the pasting here. No, it looks like it. Okay. So we'll go into here. And, all right, Nicholas, yours seems to throw errors for me. Not quite sure. Oh, did I? Okay, yes. Where did I? Oh, up here. Yeah, I see. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, now let's try Nicholas's solution properly. Weird. Is there? Okay, sorry. Oh, extraneous bracket? No, that's a missing bracket. Interesting. Okay, so this opens here and closes where? Okay, that closes that, and that closes the whole class. Okay, now let's try it. I'm surprised it let me run it. Okay. Pasting errors. Okay, sweet. Nicholas, you did great. That works exactly as expected. Sweet. Now let's try Ryan's. And if you want to explain your solution, by all means, I'll ask you to, or maybe I'll ask all of you guys to explain your solution. So I just want to show them all off. Here's Ryan's solution. It's probably a similar algorithm. All right, we've got easy, medium, hard. No, did I screw up the brackets again? Yeah, I must have. All right. Bloody brackets in the pasting. All right, so yeah, that seems like you guys have come up with the good solution there. Nice, and another one from Nicholas. Nice, you guys seem to have gotten it. Nicholas, do you want to maybe come up and come on The Voice and explain some of your solution, maybe how you thought of it?
It's like, how can I say it? Well, we use like the get win.
Yeah.
And divided by the data set of like the data set to like evenly distribute it in a way.
Yeah.
I always like using get win for the first and the third parameter because that's like the line, and then the get height for the column because that's basically a column.
All right, sweet, yeah.
Like a bit symmetric. I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what we were going for here. And yeah, you guys got it on the ball. That's essentially what I had for today's lesson in terms of the loop. Hopefully everybody understood Nicholas's solution and the general one. And if everybody actually wants to look at the solution I came up with, what you can do is actually go into the solution branch. So you guys have had the solutions on your computers the whole time. It was just under a different branch. So if you go under team and then switch to, and then here you should be able to see master or see solution. I don't know why solution's not there. Other probably. Remote tracking, yeah. Origin solved. If you click on that and check out, you should actually be able to see the solution that I had. Check out and commit. No, just check out as new local branch. Continue. Discard changes. A lot of buttons to press when you do that, but you guys don't need to do this on your end either. You guys can just do see when I did it, and it should update here. ArrayDrawer.java did it. Now I'll show you guys in IntelliJ. Sorry, I won't figure that out. I made some changes there. I'll just do it on here. So here we got solved. Check it out. And if I go into my array drawer, I have all these different solutions, and I got like different levels of solution. The final solution I put was this. I've commented it out, and you guys can look at it on your own time if you want to read the details. You know, if you didn't quite follow along and you want to understand it. I've put a lot of detailed comments onto why I did the solution the way I did. And the idea was the exact same as what Nicholas had. We just go through it, and I declared some more local variables to kind of make it more readable for you guys. I found the length at the given index. That means that for each line, we got a length at a particular index. Then I got the pixels per item, which I did get by the length. Yeah, we could also, yeah, good solution there, Nicholas. Then we get the pixels per item, we got the length, and then I did a pretty simple, like, j times pixels per item, I times pixels per item, and then height of, yeah, well, you get the point. Length, would get width over like this index. Pretty simple stuff, but hopefully it familiarizes you guys with putting some additional logic in your for loops. They don't just have to be, 4 right away. You can have some other stuff in here, and you can have more stuff operating on it. And one last thing to show you guys the debugger. If I put these breakpoints all over the place here, and I run with the debugger, I can actually watch the loop go. So it's just going to turn it on and run it, and I'll click on hard. And now you can actually watch as this thing runs. I'll minimize the other window so we can see. And if we scroll past all the comments, you can see the values of every variable. And if I look inside here, you can see that my data set is a color array with all these different color arrays built in. It's an 8 by 8 but also 1 array, if that makes sense to you guys. Like, it's got these arrays of size 1 in here with just yellow in them. It's got this array of size 8 with a bunch of colors in it. And together these all make up the image. And you can see the colors visualized here. Really cool stuff with the debugger. It's going to help you guys out a lot when you get to your future projects, and when in future tutorials and we have more complicated code, we're going to be seeing this all the time. So it's a good thing to get familiar with. And yeah, you can just watch it run and see it go, and watch all the variables and what they're all equal to. If I go to here and it's doing the draw command, you can actually see what every variable represents. Super powerful stuff, and we'll definitely get into it more later on. And if you want to get ahead of the game, you can definitely look into writing the debugger on your own code. And until then, that's that. I think that's everything I had for this visual part of the tutorial. If you guys have any questions, I'll open the floor to that. If you have any questions just generally about the course, about programming, I'm happy to answer any of those, or anything about, well, just about anything you guys can ask. Oh, hey, your audio's a bit quiet, but I'll try to hear it. If not, you could send it. Like, if the audio's bad, I'll tell you, and you could send it in the chat. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, array utilities is actually, it's basically the assignment that you guys got handed out. I made that kind of not knowing what the weekly exercises were going to contain, and it was supposed to basically be what the weekly exercises were. So you can just basically ignore that unless you haven't done the weekly exercises. Like, it's the same thing. And I just made that not realizing that the weekly exercises were a thing, and I kind of had to scramble to remake my tutorial in light of what the weekly exercises were like. And I see Nicholas, you turn on your mic. Oh, sorry, yeah, you can go ahead. Yes, the weekly exercises are extra, they're recommended, they're not required, you're not marked on them. It's only for your own good. If you already know how to program and you feel like you don't need to do it, by all means do your other courses. But if it's like something fun, I usually try to make the tutorials related to the weekly assignments, at least I am for now. In the future, I'm going to make them related to the assignments, but for now I'm going to make them related to the weekly assessments while the assignments are not out yet. But yeah, weekly are kind of useful and they can help boost your programming skills. But they're not essential. If you don't feel like you need to do them, you don't have to do them. It's just your personal preference. It's a tool out there for you, one of the many tools you have to help your programming, but it's not essential. Hopefully that answers it. And I've got another question from Emily. Repeat how you did that with Eclipse. Yeah, I tried to show that earlier. I'll show it again for you. If I go, and I'll just copy my my solution from IntelliJ to Eclipse. Where is it here? Wow. And Eclipse, it's very similar, just a few more buttons to press. Here you right click and you click toggle breakpoint or Control-Shift-B on a line. So Control-Shift-B, on Mac that would be Command-Shift-B. On each of your lines, you can see it puts a little dot beside it. It'll be clearer in the recording because I'll have it'll be like all HD and everything. You put the dot beside the line. It's gonna go. You're gonna run it with your debugger like that. You see the little bug icon. You click on that. You run the code with the debugger. You do something in it, and you can see here the values of the variables. Just like IntelliJ, it's the exact same thing. You run it, all of them show up there. Easy peasy. Good to go. Oh, to get the solved version. Yeah, okay. That's a little bit more complicated in Eclipse. You can see I kind of tried to do it and screwed up. You have to change the branch on Git. And that should be as easy as just going into here and clicking switch to, and then solved. But for me, it's grayed out for some reason, and I'll get back to you onto why, or like how I can do that. It should just be as simple as going to team, switch to, and the name of the branch. And right now it's not working for me. I'll probably post an update afterwards once I figure out why that's grayed out. Yeah, sorry about that confusion there. If you want a really like easy client for Git, IntelliJ, for now is my solution to that. Anyways, do we have any other questions from anybody else, or are we good? Yeah, sure, what's up? Okay, let me explain. So you're asking, the question was, for the recording, because that question might not capture you guys' voices, was why in fill rect do we multiply by get width or get height? And the reason for that is that we want the thing to fill the window. So where does that go again? It's under array drawer. Okay, so in fill rect, which is here, we multiply j, which is the location on the screen, by the number of pixels per item. And we multiply... Or yeah, the location is going to be get width over that. The reason we multiply I and j is that when we draw it, that's telling us at what coordinate, like which pixels to draw it at. So let's say hypothetically we have like a 5x5 display. And we have things that are, 5 is a bad example. We have a 4x4 display. And we have elements that are going to be 2 pixels wide. If we draw them at I and j, it's going to draw the first 2 wide element at pixel 0. And it's going to draw the second one at pixel 1, and they're going to be overlapping, and it's only going to have 1 pixel for the first element, if that makes sense to you. And so when we multiply it by the number of pixels per item, what we're doing is we're saying this thing is 2 pixels wide, and the next one is going to be 2 pixels over. So that's the point of that section, is to kind of make more of a correspondence to it. Like a correspondence between I and j and something more tangible. So we're seeing that I and j just represent the index. But if we multiply I and j by another constant, we can actually bring that out into the scope of the whole screen. And we can move things around like that. I hope that's clear to you. Like we're multiplying I and j by the number of pixels it takes up. Now Ali asks, it does not show the picture in the right way after getting the solved version for some reason. Do you know why that might be? It's possible that the solved version has my final solution commented out. You can see I've got a bunch of different solutions here commented out. I've got like the base one that we started with commented out. I've got the poor one commented out, slightly better commented out, and then final. And maybe final is commented. Otherwise, if final is not commented, you should be able to just reset head and make it work. If not, you can ask. Otherwise, yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? Ooh. All right. If we have no more questions, we'll be wrapping up shortly. I'll just give you guys a few minutes if you want to come up with some. And other than that, we've reached our end time. I'm happy to stay a bit longer if anybody has anything to ask, but otherwise, we should be set. All right, just got here, my bad. If this has been asked already. How does this course involve sequences and series? Sequences and series are involved when we're talking about how efficiently code runs. So you'll find later on in the course, we'll be saying things like O of n or O of log n, or we'll be using sums to express things. And you really don't need to know much about it. I did this course before I ever saw a sequence or a series in math, and I was totally fine. It's really quite explanatory, and if you have any questions about that, any of the TAs or team members or the instructor would be happy to answer you. But yeah, it's just to do with analyzing how fast things run, how much memory things take up, and it's barely covered. Like, it's going to be a very small portion of the course. At least when I took it, it was a very small portion of the course. Most of the course is to do with actually writing the code that's going to run at certain efficiencies, and the math is just there to, in this course, to explain to you how long things should take. Like if we say something runs in O of n factorial, we know that it's going to be really slow because the graph of factorial goes up really fast. So if we know that the graph that we're looking at is going to be the size of the input compared to how much time it takes. So in O of n factorial, we know that as the input increases by a certain amount, the amount of time it takes increases by a factorial factor. And that means it's really slow. Or if we have like O of log n, we know that as the input increases by n, the amount of time it takes increases by log n, so it's not so bad. I have not done the recommended exercises yet, but I'm coming up with a solution for get longest. All right, sweet. Yeah, the recommended exercises are very similar to the stuff I did in this tutorial. Tran, would you? Yeah, okay. I'm happy to look at your solution if you'd like. I can transition back to the Windows thing. Just send it over in the chat and I can take a look. Is that for get longest or is that for this tutorial? If it's for this tutorial, I can show it now. If it's for get longest, we can talk about that after. Ooh. Get longest. Okay, yeah, well, we can discuss that afterwards. You can shoot me an email with that or join like a different Zoom session. I'll just keep that out of the tutorial because I want to keep it like very relevant for people who are watching the recording. I can take a look at your solution afterwards though. Okay, is there anybody else, or are we all settled up? Oh, one more thing. FAQ office hours happened right before the Thursday tutorial at 2:30. Nobody showed up this time, which makes sense because nobody has FAQs. But next time it's going to be about every question from every tutorial. Like every office hours that somebody goes to is going to, like the questions that really stand out are going to be recorded. Well, not recorded like, by recording, but they're going to be like written down as important questions. Or if anybody has a really great question during any other session, and they will be all covered in this one FAQ office hours. This one is going to be every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. right before the tutorial. So if you guys want to kind of see the rundown of everything that's happened in office hours, Piazza, all of the big questions that people had and all the best questions people had, all of those will be answered in the 2:30 p.m. FAQ office hours, which I'm running right before this tutorial. And yeah, of course. All right, I think that's pretty much a wrap for us. Thank you guys for attending. We've got a nice image here from Allison, which we could definitely show off in your own code. If you guys want to save the image that Allison sent, you can. It's got some colors in it. I don't take responsibility if it's inappropriate. Other than that, it's been nice. Oh, quick question for the FAQ. What's up? Is the Zoom URL posted? Yeah, it's on my courses. It's going to be on the announcements. The FAQ Zoom URL and as well as the URL for both tutorial sections and for the course schedule are all posted on my courses. If you ever need a Zoom URL for an office hour or anything else, there's a page for that on my courses, which is for Zoom links. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's like office hours or Zoom links. It's really obvious. Just check the latest announcement and you'll be good. And all right. It's been a great time, guys. Great tutorial, great first one. It's been nice seeing you all, and it's going to be nice seeing you next time. Farewell.